Backpack squeak on our shoulders, dust on your laughing shoes. Map is a mess in your pocket. We keep the trail, we lose the room. Orange trees over our head.
Good morning. So Lynn and I are back in Australia. We've been back about 10 days now from our Camino walk this year. And a couple of people asked some questions while we were on the Camino and I didn't really get a chance to respond. So just making this little video to talk about a couple of general points, but mainly our accommodation. People wanted to know where we stayed and how we booked the accommodation. So that's what this is about. So first, just a very quick comment. People have asked us what boots do we wear. We both wear Salomon mid-height boots, and I put a couple of pictures. I think you can see that even after walking best part of 800 kilometres across the Camino, plus all our training walks, the boots are in really good condition. I definitely would wear them again. They've got another Camino in them. And Lynn has found that wearing men's boots, so the same size as she would wear ladies, but men's boots, they're wider in the toe box, and that sticks to a blisters problem completely. So that's just something to think about. So just a general comment about accommodation. This year we booked our accommodation from Australia mainly before we left to go to Europe. The reason we do that is we really enjoy having double rooms in albergues if we can, because you still get the chance to meet people. But we worked out pretty much a few years ago that if you eat well and get good sleep, then your health can stay consistent, especially when you get past 70 like me. So we did that again this year. So just generally we used three methods, I guess. Booking.com works a treat. The good thing about Booking.com is most places have a price for a room, and then for slightly more, a couple of dollars more, you can actually reserve a room with free cancellation, often 2 or 3 days before you arrive. So if you have to change your plans, or even if you have to cancel, using Booking.com, free cancellation is good. And the other thing with Booking.com is if something goes wrong, this year we got to Zubiri and literally half an hour before we got there, the hotel decided they would cancel our accommodation. Booking.com were right onto us with WhatsApp and emails trying to help us out finding alternate accommodation. So over the period of 12 years, we found them quite reliable. Another way of booking is go onto Google Maps, find a place in the town where you want to stay, and generally from Google Maps you can get their website with an email address and just book directly with them. So for example, Hostal Ariazu in Pamplona, I booked directly from their website. It's a little cheaper than Booking.com. And probably another really good way is get an app like Wise Pilgrim, and they have albergue, hotel and B&B accommodation in nearly every town with ways to contact them. So that's another way of finding somewhere to stay. If you really don't want to go through the hassle of booking before you go, and you don't like the idea of just walking day by day, walking into a town and finding somewhere, which we've done on a few of our Caminos. If you go through a tour company, just be aware, we found a couple of years ago that often we were staying in the same places as people who were on package tours. So last year before we went on our Camino, I got a quote from one of the major tour companies in Europe, and generally speaking, we would have paid roughly double for our accommodation than we would by booking it directly. So that's not to say don't use a tour company, because the peace of mind of having them book everything before you go is probably good, but just be aware you will pay more. One more general comment before we look at the places where we stayed. Because I had a knee problem last year, And because of the heat wave conditions we walked in this year, on a few of our stages, we actually got our pack transported from St. Jean across to Orison or Border or Roncesvalles, and anywhere on that first day from St. Jean. Express Burricot have a service where you can pre-book online to get your pack transported on that first day. They send you a ticket to print out. All of the accommodations in St. Jean are listed, and you can actually pay and have all that organised online before you leave. So even if you arrive in St. Jean late, you know your pack will be transported. Apart from that, on the days this year when we thought it was too far or because of the heat wave too hot, we used Jakue Trans. They also now have a really, really good online system with an app. So you can put in all your details, tell them all the stages that you want your pack picked up and dropped off, and you can even prepay online. Don't need to put €7 in an envelope anymore. You have one ticket with 5 or 6 days, where to pick up, where to drop off, and we found them really, really reliable. So Jakue Trans. So when we travel to the Camino from Australia, we generally fly Emirates via Dubai into Barcelona. This year, because of the issues around the Gulf, we went Singapore Airlines again into Barcelona. So we normally stay 1 or 2 nights in Barcelona before travelling to St. Jean via train and bus through Pamplona. And we found that the easiest place for us to stay in Barcelona is the Hotel Santo, which is central. It's right above Central Station in Barcelona, and that's where the train goes to Pamplona. So we booked that ahead of time with booking.com. And just a quick comment, they have the world's best breakfast. If you're interested in having a really cool breakfast, if you have a rest day in Barcelona, check out the Hotel Santo breakfast. So as far as staying in St. Jean, a couple of options there. Quite a few times we've stayed in Belorado, which is a really, really good albergue. And if you want to meet people and get started with the albergue life, or even if it's just for your first night, Belorado is fantastic. It's not that big, which is fine. They do a communal meal in the evening. They have a website that opens, I think, on the 1st of March. So you can book directly and pay for Belorado via their website. I don't think they're open from November through to March, but you can book them online. This year we stayed in a B&B or a gîte, and it was the Chemins de Elica, and there's quite a few places like that you can book online or through booking.com. They're normally really, really good. So we've never stayed in Orison or further on at La Borda, so I can't comment on those. Each time we've walked, we've gone to Roncesvalles, and the last couple of years we've stayed in Hotel Roncesvalles. They do sometimes put their rooms on booking.com, but like a lot of places, they only put some of their rooms. So if there's no availability on booking.com, just jump onto their website, email them, and they will respond and you can book that way. I think they close, again, like many places, November through March, but they have someone doing their emails throughout winter. So you might email them and not get a reply for 3 or 4 days, but then they will reply. La Posada, another really nice place to stay in Roncesvalles, again, book via their website. And if you want to stay in the monastery, the big albergue, which we've done a few times, it's a really good experience as well. Once again, the only way to book them is directly through their website. So after Roncesvalles, we've walked to Zubiri. Quite a few times we've stayed in the Hostal Rio Arga which is right on the bridge as you walk into Zubiri, and book them directly through email. They'll reply fairly promptly. Last couple of years we stayed in the Hostal Gautxori, which has been pretty good. This year the food was less than best, but once again, find their website on Google Maps and book them directly via email. In Pamplona, we stay in Hostal Ariazu, which is right on the main square, and it's really central to everything. You can book them via booking.com, but you'll get better availability and cheaper rooms if you book them directly from their website. So Hostal Ariazu. After Pamplona, we walk through to Puenta Reina, and we stay in Hostal Albergue Jakue. You can get a hotel room, but the double rooms in the Albergue and the Albergue itself are really good. And all three of those things you can book via booking.com. Often, like a number of places, their rooms will become available probably November the year before. So if you're walking in April, May, you can pre-book if you're that way inclined. And just be aware, most of the accommodation, apart from the hotels, of course, in towns, most of the Camino accommodation pulls up stumps start of November and doesn't come back online until March. And some of them won't even answer emails in that off period. So don't be too worried if they don't answer your email. It literally means they're not there. In Estella, where we walk next, we really like Hostal Curtidores, I think that's how you pronounce it, which is on the outskirts of town on the way in. So you'll come to it on the side of the river. We book them through booking.com, and you can get double rooms or triple rooms or albergue beds, and their availability comes up pretty early, so booking.com. Los Arcos can be difficult to find accommodation sometimes. This year we stayed in Hostal Monaco. Once again, find their address via Google Maps or whatever and email them directly. And even one year when I emailed them and they said, sorry, we don't have accommodation, I emailed them back and said, oh, can you recommend somewhere else in Los Arcos? And the guy gave me a couple of places to try. So, but Hostal Monaco is really nice. Double rooms are good. And everywhere in Los Arcos is central because it's so small. From Los Arcos, it's pretty much a 30-kilometre walk to Logrono. But given the first part of the walk is 20 kilometres to Viana, we normally get there really early. So we figure the 10 kilometres from Viana to Logrono is all flat. It's a couple of hours, but if you bite the bullet, you can stay in Logrono, and every night the tapas streets in Logrono go off, and it's well worth a night out in Logrono. And this year we stayed in the F&G Hotel, which is right on the end of the bridge as you walk into Logrono. Lots and lots of places to stay, but the F&G Hotel is quite cheap. And I guess when I say quite cheap, Lynn and I get a room for two. So if you divide the cost of the room by two, it's not that much more than some of the albergues these days. So F&G Hotel, which we got via booking.com. In Najera this year, we stayed in an apartment, Vino y Camino, which I think is wine and walking. Again, we booked that off booking.com. Really easy these days. The people in the apartments, pretty much on the day or the day before, will send you via your phone, WhatsApp, a code to get into the front door, and then instructions where to get the entry to your room. Most rooms these days have a keypad or a lockbox with a key with a code. So it generally works a treat. But I guess that's a good call out. These days you pretty much need a phone with access to WhatsApp, because a lot of the accommodation will contact you. What time are you coming? Are you still coming? If you don't have a phone, it's much more difficult. In Santo Domingo, we stay in the Room Concept Hotel right in the middle of town. Again, really good prices. You can book them online, and they tend to have their rooms available way early. So if you were going next April, you'll probably find their rooms are available on booking.com from November, December. They come up really early. It's really clean and efficient, and we like staying there. After Santo Domingo, we walk to Belorado, and we stay there in the hostel Santiago, to Santiago. Can't miss it. It's about half a kilometre before Belorado, and it's the one with all the international flags up the driveway. Once again, you can book them via booking.com. Their double rooms are so clean and spacious. They have an all-day kitchen, so you can get something to eat when you get there. You can have your evening meal whenever you want, and they do a breakfast from 7. In the heat wave, they've also got a garden with a pool. Really nice place to stay. When you walk from Belorado towards Burgos, the logical halfway stop, I guess, would be San Juan de Ortega, and there's a nice country hotel there, La Genera. We've stayed there before. They have an online website. It's a quirky one because bookings for the next year start at midnight New Year's Day. So going into the new year, they literally open at midnight. This year we were going to stay there. We booked online. We paid for the room, and then changed our mind and got an instant refund. So these places are really good. So this year we walked through San Juan de Ortega, through Arges, all the way to Atapuerca. That's best part of a 30k day. But this year it was heat wave conditions, and we had actually transported our pack. So we found that the walk in the heat this year was really hard. So from Villafranca to San Juan de Ortega, there's a 8 or 10 kilometre stretch in the middle of nowhere. We actually caught a taxi this year. My knee was a little bit iffy and it was hot, but generally we've walked Belorado through Atapuerca okay. And in Atapuerca this year, we stayed in the Hotel Rural Papasol. Nice hotel, country hotel, and they have a really nice restaurant, and we got that from booking.com. Burgos has got so many hotels and albergues, I won't spend too much time other than to say this year we stayed in Pension Boutique Donna. Burgos was really, really hot. The rooms that we got in that pension were really small, no air conditioning obviously, and no screens on the window in case you want to leave the windows open. We booked it via booking.com. It was central, it was clean, but it was very, very small. So we probably wouldn't stay there again. Hornillos, this year we stayed in the Casa del Abuelo. You book them directly via email. Meeting Point is another really nice place to stay. We had tea there this year, mainly because it's hard to find food. And again, Meeting Point directly, but I don't think they start taking bookings until March. So there's a couple of places, but this year we stayed in Casa de Abuelo. Really nice, clean rooms. Just be aware, their restaurant doesn't open on Sundays. After Hornillos, we walked through to Castrojeriz. Our preferred place to stay there is the hotel or hostel Cien Leguas, I think 500 leagues. Really nice family-run hotel with a great restaurant. Unfortunately, they don't open Mondays. So this year we stayed in the Hostel Orion, another really nice albergue, and their double rooms are nice, and you can book them via booking.com, Hostel Orion. In Framista, we stayed in the Hostel San Pedro via booking.com. They do a breakfast, I think not till 7 or maybe 7:30, maybe 7, but right next door to Hostel San Pedro is the world's nicest early opening bakery that does coffee, toast, cakes, croissants, really nice, and they open early. And Hostel San Pedro, again, was booking.com. Carrion de los Condes, we walked there, just a throwaway. Don't walk all the way down the road. Take the diversion, the Riverwalk alternate route, It's parallel to the road, but it's under trees if it's hot. And in Carrion de los Condes, we stay at Hostal La Court, one of the best accommodations on the Camino. It may be still only 55 euros for a double hotel room, a really top class restaurant, and their restaurant opens for breakfast at 6 a.m. So Hostal La Court, definitely recommend that. After we go through Carrion de los Condes, we walk about a 26k day to Terra Dios, and just at the start of Terra Dios is the Albergue Los Templarios, and we always say that's the best albergue on the Camino. Nuria and Jesus, who run it, are such lovely people. Book it directly via emailing them, although they may be on booking.com, I'm not sure, but we normally email them. And in the next town, Bercianos, Nuria's mother owns the Albergue La Perla, and normally we book both of those via emailing directly to Los Templarios. I think Nuria does the bookings for both, and they typically will answer your email. So if you're walking in April, you can normally email them in the November before and make a booking, but if not, March of the next year. After Bercianos, we normally walk through to Mencia de las Mulas, Mencia, just the big town just before Leon. This year we stayed in the Hostal Albergue. Email them directly for a room, but Pension La Blanca, also via email, is another place. Either of those I would thoroughly recommend to stay in Mencia. The next stage then takes you into Leon. Again, lots and lots of hotels and albergues. The last couple of years we've stayed in the Hostal Albany Ancha, A-N-C-H-A, which you can get from booking.com or via direct. It's a really nice modern hotel, and from your balcony you're literally just across from the Leon Cathedral, which looks a treat at night. But that is a really budget-priced, really top-of-the-line hotel we found. Love staying there. So when you leave Leon, there's two routes. The main route is along the highway to San Martin. We tend to take the alternate route, which is a little longer. So the first stage for us is about 20 kilometres into Villa de Mazaref, and we stay there in Teo Pepe. There are a couple of places, and Teo Pepe in Villa de Mazaref is one where you book through a website called Only Pilgrims. We've used them a couple of times. We've stayed in the Convento in Fontebadon, who also, you can reserve them through Only Pilgrims. Seems to work fine. We've done it 3 or 4 times now. And once Teo Pepe had a problem and they cancelled our booking, but Only Pilgrims found us double rooms in the same town. So just be aware that Only Pilgrims is the website you'll need to go. So this year we didn't walk all the way from Villa de Mazaref through to Astorga. Again, because of the heat and issues with my knee from last year, we walked to Hospital de Orbigo, which is it's only about a 16 or so K walk, but we got there early and we stayed in a B&B we found off booking.com called Casa Vicente. Probably the best unit, bathroom, equipment, space on the Camino this year. Really, really nice. So Casa Vicente in Hospital de Orbigo via booking.com. In Astorga, we stay in the hotel right in the square, next to the clock tower, the Hotel Astor Plaza. Not the world's cheapest hotel, but you know, sometimes by that stage of the Camino, you feel like a luxurious night. And right outside Astor Plaza now, there's a restaurant that seems to be open pretty much all day. We had a really nice lunch there while we were waiting for our room to be ready. In Fontebadon, we stayed in Albergue El Tragsu, which we got from booking.com. We've also stayed many years in the Convento, which, as I just mentioned, is on that Only Pilgrims website. Either of those are really nice places. El Tragzu has a really nice restaurant as well. After Fontebadon, we walk all the way through Molina Seca to Ponferrada. It's a long day, it's a 28k day. And this year we stayed in the Hotel El Castillo. As your name implies, it's quite close to the castle. Well priced, really nice. And one of the quirks there was they have a little restaurant, a nice restaurant, but a little cafe that opens for breakfast at 5:30. And the other good thing is it's included in the price of the room. So El Castillo via booking.com. After Ponferrada, we walked through to Villafranca del Bierzo. So just a quick note, I think there's 2, if not 3, Villafrancas on the Camino. So you always just got to be careful which one you're booking in. So Villafranca del Bierzo, and we normally have a rest day there. Many times we stayed in the hostel Posada Mayor, I think it's called, right in the square. But the last 2 years we've stayed in El Casino, which is a newish or refurbished ultra-modern hotel, again right in the square. Really lovely place to stay, well priced. So El Castillo, and you can book them via booking.com. After Villafranca, we normally walk the 28k or so kilometres all the way to Ocebiero. So it's an early start from Villafranca. And Ocebiero, there's some really nice places. The Hostal Ocebiero, Casa Velina. This year we stayed in Venta Kelta, and if you watched our videos, we had an issue with them. They literally cancelled and closed the doors about 30 minutes before we got there. We had to arm wrestle to get our backpacks out of the hotel. The accommodation itself was fine. They've got a restaurant downstairs. They look like they've just got some management issues, which hopefully they'll sort out. But we stayed in Venta Kelta via booking.com. And once again, as soon as they cancelled, booking.com were in touch with us. I think they emailed and WhatsApped us and said, oh, hang on, this is not good. Do you want us to help you find somewhere? We ended up sorting it out with the help of Elaine, but just be aware of that. After Ocebiero, we walked down to Tria Castella and stayed in Pension Jacobo. Pretty much the whole main street, all of the accommodations and restaurants there are owned by that Jacobo organisation. But again, Hotel Jacobo, go online on Google Maps, find them, and there's a website and you book directly with them. I think you pay 50% deposit and then the balance when you get there. But their pension rooms are really nice. After Tria Castella, we walked to Soria. Lots of places to stay in Soria, but for quite a few years now we've stayed in the Aqua rooms, which are really lovely, really central, and you book them via booking.com. After Soria, we walked through to Porto Marin. We stayed in Porto Santiago, double room, from booking.com. Clean, tidy, really nice. Porto Marin is one of those towns where every year you go there are brand new hotels. So this year when we walked into town, there was a really, looked like a top class tour company style hotel, and it had a sign out the front, rooms available. So they were so new, they weren't even on the apps or any of the guides. So lots of places to stay in Porto Marin, and we got the Porto Santiago via booking.com. So I'll just grab Lynn because she's home from swimming.
Hi guys.
And I wanted to get Lynn's opinion on if you've never walked the Camino before and you want the Camino experience, staying in private accommodations or staying in albergues. So this year we stayed in double rooms, but in albergues in Los Templarios and La Perella and Hostal Jarc and Estella, and it was quite a few places. What do you reckon?
I think it's a lot better. If you have the opportunity to stay in albergues, even though you want private rooms, it is possible, and it's a lot better experience. You meet a lot of people, even like we did in Hornillos, where we ended up going over to an albergue to have the communal dinner. that was a really good night this year.
Yes.
And we met a lot of really lovely people. So yeah, if you want the true Camino experience with meeting a lot of people, especially if this is your first one, I highly recommend you do that.
Yeah, and it's such a lovely experience. I mean, the thing about an albergue is you straight away realise you're all going to the same place. You're all staying in the same place. It's really easy to...
All got the same complaints, sore feet or
Even
whatever.
Yes, and it's just a lovely way to meet people. I think that kind of works for us, doesn't it? So
you do distance yourself if you're in a pension to a small degree, but it's just a more true Camino experience if you're in albergues.
Yeah, so that's just something that we try to do as often as we can. Cool, thank you for that.
Okay.
So after Portamarin, we normally walk through to Palace de Reina, and this year we stayed in the Pension Restaurant Casa Camino. Really nice bar, nice room. It was a good example though of sometimes the instructions that they send you for booking in are really hard to follow. And when we got there, we found out they had a computer screen on a wall, and you prepaid, and then you did the computer screen, and then a receptionist came onto the screen and got all your passport details, and then gave you a code, and then you printed out your own key. Oh, it's a pain in the butt. We did it, but just be aware sometimes the systems for getting into some of these places are not that easy. So we booked via booking.com, but it was one of those places where if you didn't have a phone and they couldn't WhatsApp you, you'd be a little bit in the dark. The next stage, we like to stay in Ribadiso, just before the town of Arzua, and Pension Ribadiso, which you can book off booking.com, is where we stayed the last couple of years. This year it was doubly good because it was in the middle of that heat wave, 30 plus degrees, and they've actually got a pool, so that was really good. Pension Ribadiso. So the last town before Santiago, O Pedruzo, we stayed in Residencial Platas, which is two buildings of apartments right on the start of town actually. Got that through booking.com. I think check-in opens at 1 p.m, but they're really clean, central, efficient, and that worked a treat, so we stayed there. So finally, Santiago, again, it's a city. There are lots and lots and lots of places to stay, albergues, pensions, hotels. We normally stay in the Hotel Windsor, which is a budget hotel, not far from the cathedral. It's halfway between the cathedral and the train station, which works for us. Last couple of years though, it's it needs a zhush. So this year we stayed in the Hostal Gelmires, which was quite close to Hotel Windsor, literally 5 minutes from the train station, which suits us because we leave Santiago via a train through Madrid. Hostal Gelmires, a really nice hotel via booking.com. Okay, so that's just a very quick for that rundown for the people who ask where did we stay this year. My impression over the last probably 3 walks along the Camino Francais from Saint Jean, if you look at the numbers of people getting their Compostelas, half of them now are via the Portuguese Camino, and of those who walk the Camino Francais, the lion's share of those start in either Leon or Sarria. So, you know, these days you could probably just walk the Camino Francais, maybe pre-book the first few days, and you'd probably find accommodation. Just be aware the really, really busy periods are people who start walking from Saint Jean end of April, start of May, and the people who walk September, October. They're the really busy periods. We actually walked 3 weeks after the start of May this year, and the numbers it wasn't busy at all. Now, we happened to cop a heat wave, but that was really exceptional across Europe. So anyway, I hope those couple of comments help, and hopefully more in the future.